I'm going to just start by telling you all a little bit about what the social action projects are from our Friends Forever side. I won't be doing that for too long. I know what we're really here for is to hear from the folks that completed them, but just to give us a little bit of background. So Friends Forever International's mission is to help youth become the best versions of themselves so that they can help their community become the best version of itself. And going through these projects are really where we get to take that mission and make it actionable. And these two and the rest of the folks that have made it to this point are really a testament to that in making that small scale community change with the resources that they have at their disposal right now. So the FFI immersion program, these programs are usually between 10 and 16 days in person, but before their in-person component, they go through a team building phase where they develop their team identity, they bond as a team, and they come up with the goals and the foundation for success during the in-person component of their program. And then after that in-person part, they go through what you're just seeing the final component of right now, which is their community building phase, where they develop, plan, and implement a community-based project addressing a need that they recognize in the community that they're in. And just to give you a little overview, this has been, this time, it's our first time doing it quite in this way. As anyone who's been with Friends Forever for a while knows, we're constantly changing the mold of what we do and doing things that are making improvements that are more efficient and work for the groups we're working with. So the community building phase is about 12 weeks with some breaks in between for some in-person meetings and some areas of feedback. But for the most part, these folks have been walking themselves through that curriculum and communicating with us along the way. And when it comes to, like I had mentioned, of understanding a community need that they're going to address, we've started by comparing and contrasting the way we see that community issue with other folks, understanding who in our community is already addressing that issue, why that issue matters, and more specifically, why it matters to us. What is our why? And how does the perspective that we have impact the way that we view this issue? And then taking all of that information, everyone looks at, okay, what impact can I make with all of that information in mind? They first developed a brainstorm where they turned their project idea and develops a list of stakeholders and folks in their community that could help, some of the outcomes for their project and what success really looks like. They developed all of the objectives. We use the OCRA's method here of objectives, key results, and action steps. And they developed a budget and put those in order of what's going to be most essential for their project to be able to happen. And then from all of those objectives, key results, action steps, we've turned those action steps into a timeline and an actionable plan that they can follow through. And as you can see, that in itself and getting that to its most finalized state and submitting a project proposal is a lot of work. And along the way, they've had different advisory reviews where they've met with staff, alumni, and got some feedback on their projects and learned about ways that they can further develop them. So there's been that sort of communicative Friends Forever piece throughout, but they've really done an enormous amount of work to reach the point that you're seeing today.
Cool. So my idea for my project is to a games night with homeless people and non-homeless people in Derry, Northern Ireland, where I spend a lot of my time. Can we go to the next slide? Cool. So my name's Eve. I'm 17 and I live in Donegal in the Republic of Ireland. I work as a performer and circus trainer in Derry in Northern Ireland. And I love to play games, board games, card games, all kinds of games with my family a lot of the time. The picture of me is of me working as a skeleton on Halloween, which was a lot of fun. It's kind of cool. Can we go to the next slide? So the problem and how it's affected me, the overall issue I'm hoping my project will address will be homelessness. It's an international problem that affects over 13,000 people in Northern Ireland, which is the population is about 1 million people, so it is quite a high number of people to be living in temporary housing. There's a lot of stigma surrounding homelessness and situations and reasons that people end up living on the streets or living in temporary housing. And for that reason, a lot of the time people won't interact with people they see on the street, which leads to them having a very limited social connection, which is important for just human life to have connection with other people. And there's a high number of children living in poverty, which has been shown to lead to mental health problems later on in life. I've always hated feeling completely helpless whenever seeing people living on the streets and not being able to help. So I'm hoping my project will do more than just being able to give one person a couple of pounds every now and then and actually bring connection to people's lives. Yeah. So why I think it's important to try and fix this problem is because of the high number of people in Northern Ireland, the stigma surrounding the issue, leading to very limited social connection and mental health problems, and which can lead on to substance abuse and addiction. A lot of the time people tend to see people living on the street and assume it's as a result of substance abuse and addiction, when actually a lot of the time it's the other way around. Can we go into the next slide? So my solution is to create a space for homeless people and non-homeless people to talk, offering tea, coffee, biscuits, and games to make the environment more relaxed. I'm hoping that with different types of games, maybe ones people recognize, ones people don't, it'll lead to just starting conversation, which can then go on to anything else. I'll be trying to measure the success of the event with people in attendance and volunteers and a charity. So for volunteers, I'll have a pre and post interview with them to kind of understand what their kind of views on homelessness are before going into the event, and then see if anything's changed afterwards. I also think that having a table or an area set up within the space I'll be for the project, with sanitary products, blankets, backpacks, or anything that people might need, just to make the way they're living a little bit easier during the winter months. So when I'm hoping I'll be able to do this next year, in the winter. I was planning to do it this year, but I was told that no charities would work with me if I was under 18, which unfortunately I am. The exact location, the centre, is to be determined, but it will be in Derry, Londonderry, in Northern Ireland. I'll be leading and managing through communicating with the Northwest Methodist Mission, which is a charity that I've decided to work with while carrying out the project. I need to recruit volunteers, set the date and time and confirm the venue, and organise games and create the pre and post interviews for the volunteers. My resources are an estimated budget of around £280 for games, teas and coffees. And this will also be used for the blankets and products for people that might need. I'm gonna have to make flyers as well to advertise to members of the public, to have people kind of interested in coming along. I think this will be done along with fundraising, just having volunteers out on the street talking to people and trying to raise interest in attending or being a part of the project. There's a quote from Helen Keller I thought kind of tied into feeling like you can't do very much, but with other people it's a lot easier, and a link and QR code for my GoFundMe. Whenever you go to the GoFundMe, it is in euros. I live cross-border, so it's really confusing to set up, but it will all get like changed over and stuff. But just if there's any confusion with that. And that's all I have. Thank you so much for listening to this.